How you doing there, folks? Baiters here with another Top 10. Today we're going to look at the top 10 realistic mods for Fallout 4. Now these mods are so lifelike that sometimes I tie a ribbon to the tip of my penis and just wave it around. To be honest, I'm not sure really why I do that. Remember, if you like this video, to titty tap that like button. Because if I get enough likes on this video, then maybe strangers will stop pressing their butt cheeks against my dining room window while I eat. Now, if you're playing on Xbox, be sure to keep your gooey vision balls on the lookout for this dusty fur burger, as that's an indicator that that mod featured is available on your console. Note that all the mods featured are available on PC, as we do all our mod reviews on the PC version of Fallout 4. Now go ahead and sensually massage the tip of a dusty cucumber, and let's get to average baiting, baby! At number 10, we've got Gunsmoke by Mod Club. Now, we've all been there, bouncing around the Commonwealth, blasting Mirelurk babies right in their undeveloped faces, while the Queen is off in a dusty shack somewhere, gobbling on some freak's knob with her gooey face. And oftentimes, when you're in that moment of bliss, just obliterating slug baby after slug baby after slug baby, it may just occur to you that even though you're spending ludicrous amounts of ammunition on these defenseless freaks, there isn't any smoke coming out of the barrel of your gun, even though there would have been a carbon buildup in the barrel, which is likely to occur after shooting so many rounds. Now that little bit of smoke wisping out of the end of the barrel can be the difference between realism and unrealism when it comes to killing massive amounts of Mirelurk babies. Like, unhealthy amounts. Now this mod sorts that and adds smoke to the end of ballistic weapons after they've been fired. Smoke is just one of those additional touches that really contributes to the sense of realism in the game. Every type of weapon has its own type of smoke emitted, and only ballistic weapons emit smoke. This additional smoke makes for some really interesting images and gives you the impression that you're in a living, breathing world. Now once the smoke comes out of the barrel, it's carried off by the wind to dissipate into nothingness. Some weapons will emit more smoke than others, and at certain times of day, you'll be able to see the smoke better than at other times. Now this is a great little mod that adds a beautiful new element to all the ballistic weapons and makes them feel that much more realistic in the game. I rate this mod that moment you realize that life is full of surprises. Oh, hey, look at that. Looks like a harmless, bright yellow. Holy f***, it's England! Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god! At number 9, we've got Better Ammo Boxes by Devious Methods. Now, I might not be an intelligent man. In fact, if it wasn't for coloring books, I would have never learned to read. Some say I still haven't, because apparently putting colors inside of something doesn't technically mean you understand it. Well, those people obviously haven't seen the coloring books I read. They're very advanced. Some of them even have chapters. Fucking chapters! Anyways, I might not know a lot of things about a lot of things, but one thing I'm pretty sure that I do know is that ammo boxes in Fallout 4 look unrealistic. They all kind of look the same, but with just different ammo on the box. Like, what the fuck? Even babies know ammo boxes don't all look the same. That's just ludicrous. Now this mod retextures all of the conventional ammo boxes. Each box is hand textured to fit the lore and look of Fallout. The textures and meshes are expertly done to give an authentic and realistic look to each and every one of the ammo boxes in the game. Now not only do these ammo boxes look realistic, but they also look worn and weathered, as if they were sitting on a shelf for 200 years. Which, wouldn't you know it, fits with the immersion of the game perfectly. These ammo boxes are definitely a most welcome addition to anyone who wants more realism in Fallout 4. I rate this mod one photo of what happens when you're mean to the birds. You didn't throw stale bread at me? No. Just wait for it. It's coming. At number 8, we've got Realistic Conversations by Gorgula. Have any of you ever tried to hold a conversation with one of the NPCs in Fallout 4? Or better yet, have you overheard them interacting with other NPCs? Well, if you haven't, you're not missing much. Generally, they'll just repeat the same sentence over and over and over again, or they'll just keep greeting you like a crazy Walgreens employee. I don't know what that's all about. Saying hello once is polite, but after about the 4th time, you might need to get an adult, because that psycho is about to put his baby-sized thumbs in your mouth and ask if you can keep a secret. Let's face it, the NPCs' conversations could use an overhaul in the worst way to make them at least almost pass as real people in the game. This mod attempts that very thing and makes conversations in Fallout 4 feel much more realistic and authentic. Now, this mod changes all the social logic in Fallout 4 for all the NPCs. They will talk more often now, and they will be a lot less likely to greet you from a distance or greet you more than once. This mod makes the NPCs feel a lot less like robots and a lot more like real individuals. This will also make the NPCs more intelligent. They will now know if they've already talked to another NPC and will therefore talk to a different one or just not talk at all. The expressions and emotions have also been overhauled, and now NPCs will express themselves a lot better in the game, the way they might actually express themselves in reality. Now, they will also look more alive and have a lot more believable emotions when they talk and communicate. This is definitely an excellent addition to anyone's playthrough of the game, regardless if you want realism or not. I rate this mod one photo of when Google Maps recommends a shortcut. So it would seem that that wasn't even an exit. Thanks, Google. At number 7, we've got Scabbers Backpacks by Spiffy Skytrooper. Now, when it comes to realism, storing a boatload of items in a skin-tight leotard is where I gotta draw the line, okay? Yeah, maybe the Soul Survivor smuggled some cookies in that thing, all smushed up against his man bits, but anything bigger than a squished muffin is gonna raise some eyebrows, because it's just not realistic. Well, this mod sorts that gaping hole in realism by adding realistic backpacks to the game to store your goodies. Now snacking on some meat, collecting caps, or even changing outfits makes so much more sense when you have a backpack or a pouch to store your shit in. Now, this mod adds 2 new backpacks to the world of Fallout 4. These backpacks are designed to be fair and balanced, with a few customization options. The backpacks increase carry weight, have equipable straps, and an assortment of color options. Now, both packs can be found on vendors, enemies, and they can also be crafted at the chemistry station, making them relatively easy to acquire in the game. These backpacks look absolutely incredible in the game, with all their own very realistic custom meshes and textures that bring them to life in Fallout 4. Backpacks are essential if you want realism in Fallout, and these backpacks are some of the most realistic ones to choose from on the Nexus. I rate this mod one guy who's just way too optimistic all the time. So hey, turns out my neck is broken, but good news. I can see when people are walking up behind me. How great is that? At number 6, we've got NPCs Travel by Win 2009. Now, I've done my fair share of meandering around the Commonwealth, and do you know what I've noticed? Aside from seeing Trash Can Carla stanking up the odd street corner, the roads and paths are pretty barren. Apparently nobody is trying to get anywhere, which seems incredibly unrealistic, especially when you see where some of these groups reside. Real shitholes. But above and beyond just that, what about gathering supplies, looting old structures, scavenging and whatnot, typical post-apocalyptic activities? Not seeing anyone traveling around the Commonwealth definitely kills the realism in the game and leaves you wondering what these weirdos are doing all day. I mean, are they like house pets, just sitting there staring at the door, rubbing their genitals across the carpet, hoping somebody comes to visit with food and supplies? Please! Someone come to the door with a burger and fries. I mean, if so, that's a great strategy. I mean, this mod helps to ameliorate that massive discrepancy in the game by adding an allotment of traveling NPCs to the world space. Travelers from all sorts of different factions will be exploring the world space now in search of supplies or their next victim. There are now hostile, neutral, and even friendly travelers prancing about all willy-nilly, so it's best to be more cautious when you're exploring the world space. Also, the mod author gives you the ability to customize some of the settings, so you can have more or less travelers in the world space at any given time, which is a great feature. This is pretty much a must-have mod for realism in Fallout 4, especially if you want to believe the Commonwealth is a living, breathing world, and not just an NPC petting zoo. I rate this mod one lady who talks shit about ostriches all the time because she doesn't live close to any. Hello? I found you! I found you, bitch! At number 5, we've got Jester's Better Destroyed Vehicles by the Jester of Evil. Now, if there's one thing we've all seen our fair share of in Fallout 4, it's old, broken down, dusty dirt squirrel automobiles. They are literally everywhere in the game. Bethesda's way of reminding you that you have to walk everywhere you go, even though there was once a better way. However, one thing most of us have also noticed is that the textures for these broken down vehicles in the game leave something to be desired. Politely put, they're all poop sandwiches in terms of textures. I mean, they just look so unrealistic. It's as if the world that they exist in doesn't really affect them. However, this mod author said, "No, not today," and changed all the textures for all the broken down vehicles in the game to make them look far more realistic and believable. The textures also look much more crisp and well defined in the game, making a playthrough seem that much more immersive and realistic. However, the real meat and potatoes to this mod is that it changes the textures to not only look better, but also makes them more believable. The rust now looks corroded and three-dimensional, and the paint looks chipped and worn and weathered by the environment. And best of all, these new textures take up the same space as the old ones, meaning this mod makes your game look better, but comes at zero cost to your ability to obliterate scuzzy freaks at 60 frames per second. This mod is a no-brainer and a great addition to anyone's playthrough of the game. I rate this mod 1 photo of when someone gets a little too rough during foreplay. Hey, how about you don't do that, crazy bitch? At number 4, we've got Shell Rain by Pod Derek. Now, I don't know if you guys are like me or not, but when I get in a firefight in Fallout 4, I like to keep track of how many rounds I let off. Then, when all the commotion dies down and the smoke is cleared, I like to just go around counting the shell casings, just to make sure they adequately represent the number of shots that I fired. And if there's even one less shell casing than shot fired, then I start freaking out, man. I throw shit, I yell obscenities at the TV, I write a strongly worded letter to Bethesda detailing how upset I am with words and snapshots of my butthole, okay? But no, not any longer. Now, with this mod installed, the shell casings will much more adequately represent the number of shots fired, as now shell casings will not disappear after only a few seconds. Now they'll stick around much longer and really clutter up your whole situation. I mean, just look at all the shells on the ground here. Honestly, it's a fucking mess, but it's an immersive and very realistic mess. The type of mess that just gets my titties all moist and sweaty because it's just so damn realistic, you know? I could just take off all my clothes right now, right down to my skivvies, and just roll around in these shell casings. Ooh, shit! They're still hot! A couple of the warm ones just burnt my cheeks. This is a great mod that in a lot of ways is a must-have mod in anyone's playthrough of the game, especially if you want realism in Fallout 4. I rate this mod 1 photo of when something touches your foot from under the bed. Holy fuck, it's got me! It's got me! This is it! This is how I die! No, wait, false alarm. It's just a cheesy. At number 3, we've got No Throwing Arc by Lilac. Hey, here's something I've never noticed when I was throwing shit in the real world. A giant green arc that conveniently lets me know where my projectile's gonna land. Do you know why I haven't noticed such a thing? Well, it's simple really. It's because that doesn't exist! Well, in Fallout 4, if you level up your character enough and upgrade your projectiles, then you'll get yourself a green throwing arc that will show up when you throw a projectile to let you know exactly where that dusty dick tickler is gonna land. Now, the worst part about this throwing arc is that once you've enabled it, there's no going back. You're not able to abort this giant immersion-breaking baby, and no amounts of controlled flushing or wide toilet seats will ever get rid of it either. It's with you forever. There's just no going back. At least not without a little help from the modding community, that is. Think of the modding community as an abandoned park where you can just leave unwanted throwing arc babies to be adopted by wolves or eaten by other abandoned cannibalistic toddlers. You know, that's what happens at parks, right? This mod does exactly that and removes that unrealistic eyesore from your screen even when you leveled up your character to that point. Now, I know there's probably a few of you out there that think, hey wait, the throwing arc could be immersive though, Baters, because of the Pit-Boy, right? Well, to that, I say, fuck you! I will fucking kill you! How dare you question me during a mod review! Remember back when I said I was gonna kill you? I might have overreacted. I'm willing to take a couple steps back here and fully examine myself. No, but seriously though, the Pit-Boy is a cop-out, and the throwing arc is bullshit that just continues to remind the player that you're actually in a video game rather than immersing you in the environment. This mod might be a small fix, but it's essential if you want to get a realistic playthrough of the game. I rate this mod 1 bear that just cares. Safety first, guys! Or Smokey the Bear will fucking find you! At number 2, we've got Campsite by fading signal. Now this mod is simple but complex all in the same sentence. It's simple in that it adds a very simple type of new dynamic to the game, which is campsites, but it's complex in that it adds a ton of new features as well as gameplay mechanics that you can now do in the game. This is a lightweight camping mod that adds craftable, carryable tents, sleeping bags, dog beds, fires, lanterns, and cooking pots, each with their own dynamic sounds and interactivity. Now this mod is basic enough that you can install it and use it within the first few minutes, easy peasy, penis squeezy. But it's also detailed enough to really make you feel much more immersed and involved with the world space. Now all of the new items that have been added can be crafted at the Armorsmith workbench or the chemistry station if you don't have Armor and Keywords community resource installed. Now all the items will be labeled as camping kit in your inventory, so they'll be easy to identify when you're all tuckered out and want to set up camp for the night. This mod is incredibly realistic in that you can now camp pretty much anywhere in the Commonwealth, which makes a lot of sense because the Fallout universe is probably lacking in the B&B department, you know? Now the attention to detail in this mod is astounding and in many ways blows my mind that this type of mod wasn't in the game to begin with. There are so many little details this mod is comprised of that not only make it amazing, but also would take forever to list everything in one video. Just for example, you can adjust the position of all the items in the camp. You can pack them up with ease, you can interact with them for cooking and sleeping, and the cherry on the immersion cake is that the fucking fires will even go out after a few hours in the game. There is so much to love about this mod, especially if you're into a survivalist playthrough of the game, or if you just really want to immerse yourself in realism as you play through Fallout 4. I honestly can't say enough good things about this mod, as it's just done so well, and really, it's a must-have mod for Fallout 4. I rate this mod the moment you're pretty sure your dog has a serious problem. Did somebody see ball? At number 1, we've got the Cazador armor by John Connor. Let's face it, bouncing around the post-apocalypse isn't the wet dream weekend the Fallout series would have you believe it is. The vanilla game just has you sauntering about in a skin-tight vault suit, just grabbing on your dick and balls every time you change directions. Now let's face it, the real-world post-apocalypse wouldn't be so accommodating to skinny jeans and a metrosexual haircut. In a real apocalypse, you would be carrying pretty much everything you own on your person at any given time. Also, you would likely want to have an assortment of equipment on your person for any number of precarious situations you might encounter in this incredibly dangerous environment. And that vault suit just doesn't have an adequate amount of storage space, or pockets for that matter. Well, this mod author did an incredible job creating an armor mod that encompasses these essentials and really gives a realistic depiction of a sole survivor in the Fallout world. This outfit has a giant backpack with all the necessities one might need to set up camp and store supplies as they wander this toxic wasteland. It also comes with a survivalist gas mask, which really sells the whole "holy f***, the world's gone tits up" vibe, you know, Fallout's going for, which is great. This is by far one of the best, most immersive and realistic armor mods ever made for Fallout 4. Now, if you want to acquire this mod, then you can just craft it at the chemistry station under Cazador. This entire armor mod has been made from scratch with all its own custom meshes and textures based on the concept art by James Flaxman. It has a ton of separate parts, so you can really mix and match until you find something that really giggles your giblets. From armor to backpacks, hoodies, a wicked coat, and other accessories to choose from, this armor mod has just got it all. This is an absolutely incredible addition to the game, and one that's sure to improve anyone's playthrough of Fallout 4. I rate this mod one photo of when things just aren't going your way. Fucking hate Mondays. Thanks again for watching, folks. Hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, be sure to bitch slap that subscribe button like it's 3 weeks behind on your rent. Bitch! Where's the money, bitch? Where's the money? Where is it? Also, go ahead and hit that bell icon too, because apparently YouTube thought there should be extra steps. Why not, right?
I'd like to subscribe, but first I have to click this and this and do this. Oh, it needs an email. All right, and this. Okay. Just tell me when he's uploading.
Once you do all that, if you're lucky, at the stroke of midnight, a tiny little Averagebaters fairy might come and tickle your butthole. I hope to see you all again next time, and remember to keep on average baiting, baby.